Hello, my name is Bianca from the Ukrainian Actors and Actresses fandom. In today's episode of Vertical Voices, I have a great guest from a review page. Actually, you all know her, or at least you should know her because she's writing really good reviews. Welcome, Caitlyn from Verticait.
Hi. Hi, Bianca.
It's great that you are joining me today because I heard a lot of the podcast episodes which you had was Let's Talk About Verticals and the other nice ladies.
Yeah.
But before we are going further with that, maybe you introduce yourself, who you are, and what part in this vertical space do you have?
My name's Caitlyn. I live in upstate New York in the United States, and I got into verticals almost a year ago. Like most people, was kind of down in a down part of my life and, found verticals through social media ads and immediately got hooked. And kind of have done a well, not a downward spiral, but an obsessive spiral since. And I started my review page, I believe it was July when I started it. It started off kind of slow because it was a busy season for work, but really it's starting to turn over a new leaf this year and really ramp up. So to where I'm hoping to eventually hit 1,000 followers so I can do live interviews with cast and crew, which I think will be really exciting. So that's my goal for 2026.
Oh, that sounds interesting. And yes, I was looking for this, little line to get 1,000 followers. Unfortunately, I didn't make really a live yet. I guess I did once one, but those are the restrictions which you have on Instagram to going live. You need to have
Yep.
1,000 followers, but I guess you will get them soon because like I mentioned, you are one of a few big review pages, and I think your reviews are always amazing. I love them. And
Oh, thank you. I
yeah,
try. I
you
try to create reviews that are in depth enough that you get a full picture of the quality of the vertical without actually revealing the storyline of the vertical. I'm very careful to not include a lot of giveaway details because to me, and actually for me personally, when I'm watching a vertical, so every time I watch a vertical, especially if I review it, I actually watch it twice. So one time I watch it all the way through and I do not make any notes other than at the very end, I will give it a rating on the initial glow through. And then I'll go back around the second time, and that's when I'll take more specific notes of what I didn't like, what I did like, or, if there were words to describe a character or an actor's performance or something that I saw, then I'll write that down. But the rating that people see on my reviews, so for example, Love and Oblivion's 9 out of 9, that was the gut feeling immediately after I watched it. And because in Love and Oblivion is actually a really great example of the fact that when you watch it the second time, you're not going to have the same feeling, especially for that kind of suspense mystery thriller vertical, because you already know what the mystery is. So that same feeling isn't going to be there. You're still going to get a good feeling, but it's
yeah.
not going to be quite exactly the same. So that's why I always do the initial rating on the first go around, and then I'll watch it again to get any details that I need to get for my reviews. So every vertical I watch at least twice. If I really like it, obviously I'll watch it way more than that. But yes, that's what my review style is definitely trying to focus on giving the most in-depth review I can without revealing anything.
Yeah, and to explain it to the audience, Love in Oblivion is on DramaPops and is an Ukrainian
Yes.
vertical with Mark Shatner and Tetiana Slova as the lead characters, and Eugene Lisnici.
Yes.
But I like it a lot that you think about not to reveal too much of the storyline. Because, sure, you can't write a review or like I have on my page the vertical descriptions without spoiling anything. It's not possible. You have to spoil a little bit, but don't tell the whole story because you need to make everyone curious about this vertical so they're gonna watch it. Because I always say with my description, I don't want to write down they've been enemies, fell in love, and on the end they get married and she become pregnant. Then I don't need to watch the whole story no more if I know how it's ending.
But at the same time, it is very important to give a little bit so
Yeah.
that the viewers know, and you'll see them in, because I obviously, I like every reviewer, as I go along, I tweak how my reviews are written or the form that my reviews are written in. So you'll see on the past couple ones that I have started including like just the tiniest little synopsis because I find it's important for people to understand what kind of story they're getting into. I do list on my front page what kind of trope it is. But within tropes, it can mean anything. So you can have an enemies to lovers one, but you might need to distinguish what kind of enemies and lovers. But you can do that minimally and, like you said, leave a little bit of intrigue without giving away the ending. So I have been doing just minimal description, synopsis type things on there just to give people an idea. But my main goal is to say, yes, this was a great quality, and here's why it's a great quality, but leave the story experience up to the audience or the viewer.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And is maybe you can explain to us how you decide to watch a vertical and review it. Because there are maybe different reasons why you are doing it. Maybe the title, maybe the actors, maybe the storyline. Yeah, what do you do to make the decision I want to watch and review this story?
So I am actually a pretty open vertical audience, I guess I would say, in the fact that there's very little that I won't watch. And whether it be because of my ADHD or whatever, I have to finish the vertical. If I start it, I have to finish it. There are some people who, they start it, they don't like it, they'll stop it. Dahlia actually calls it hate watching, and that's a good way to describe it, is I have to finish it even if I hate it. And I definitely hit a period, I think it was last month or November, where I did watch a vertical that was just incredibly dark, incredibly toxic. It was one of the only two verticals that I've ever watched, and I have not counted, but I'm pretty sure I'm well over 1,000 verticals. It was only one of two that I really struggled to get through. But when it comes to reviewing, and this is kind of where the dark ones come into play, I kind of have changed my theories. I used to just review the ones that were really good and really excited me because they were that good. And I kind of had many discussions, and I think it's very important to review all of them, especially the bad ones, because
Yeah.
if we only review the good ones, and I understand trying to give the good ones more light, but I think that's possible by giving them good reviews. The bad ones are important to review because we need to talk about what makes them bad, whether that's
Yes.
poor production quality, poor acting, or poor chemistry, poor casting, or whether the storyline is just very Eastern Hemisphere, kind of Asian tropes and themes that don't fit necessarily in the Western culture. Those are things we can talk about, and reviews are a great way to stimulate discussion on that sort of thing. And I think it's important. So, one of the verticals that, I consider one of the two that were toughest for me to get through is The Day She Went Mad with Eric Brody. Now, I love that one. And I did write a review for it. I did not publish it because when I was about to publish it is when Eric lost his dad. So I
Yeah.
purposely did not publish it because I didn't feel that it was appropriate to do so
No.
when he's going through, healing from that. So I have not published that one. It is done and in my bank. So if I want to publish it down the road, I will. But that one, that is the one that prompted my non-rating rating for the reviews. So I will put NR on these verticals going forward, that if they're that toxic and they're that terrible, out of respect for the creatives, whether it be cast or crew, that put all this blood, sweat, and tears into the making this vertical that they were handed. Even the production companies, they're handed this. Yeah, they sign on, to do a job, but at the same time, these clients, these apps are the ones making decisions and pushing certain stories and everything like that and elements. It's still important that I review it. For example, Eric Brody in the day I lost, or the day I went mad, sorry. He did a phenomenal job. Like, blew it out of the water, just had me in utter tears because the amount of skill, talent, and even energy and strength it takes to pull off a character that has to go to that deep dark place when he arguably hadn't even been there yet. I mean, he obviously now knows what it feels like in real life, but it was
May I ask you, is it this vertical which he posted in the story after his dad passed, where
it
he's
is.
kneeling in front of a grave and is
Where
crying?
yep, where he said he finally understands, and
Yeah. Okay,
he
I
didn't
didn't
realize.
seen this vertical, but I wanted to know if it is. You have to give me later the name of the show again.
Yeah, so it's let's see. It is because I have my notes. I always, as a good review, I have my notebook that I carry, that I have with me whenever I watch Vertical. So it's called After I Died, He Went Mad. It's on DramaBox. It has Eric Brody, and then the female lead is Kirby Elwood. It it has a little bit of everything as far as red flags go. We're talking domestic abuse, animal death, which for me as a veterinary technician slash nurse, that was one of the harder parts of it.
Yeah.
Sexual assault, rape, suicides, so it has everything. So it is a very tough vertical to get through. But like I said, I mean, Kirby did excellent as well, but Eric Brody's performance was just jaw-dropping and just outstanding. I can't say enough about it. And this is, the second performance that I've seen from Eric Brody that is just absolutely wonderful. But going back to my original point, even a vertical as tough as that deserves to have a review, to have discussions about the bad parts of it, but also bring to light that Eric Brody's a great actor.
Yeah.
He gave a great performance. And that in turn, hopefully, in some tiniest of way, might help him get other jobs, maybe on a vertical that is less
Definitely.
toxic. So
And
that's why it's important to review everything. And so that's why I try to review everything, even if I think the vertical is crap, for lack of a better
yeah,
word.
yeah. No, two things. First of all, I love if I see an actor or an actress playing a difficult role like that, because it shows me what this person is able to do with their craft. Because to play always a billionaire CEO or always a mafia boss, it's somehow maybe easier. But if you have to get out of the comfort zone and show what you are able to act, I love that. And second of all, I like that a lot that you even write reviews which are not always sugarcoating, because I know for fact, for example, Amo Pictures, they are craving for feedback. If you have a feedback and you are not a review page or something like that, you always can send Amo Pictures official a DM and tell them about it. They are craving
Yep,
for feedback. It's also the apps, they love to get feedback. Send them a DM, even if they don't react or answer you, but they are
yep,
reading it. And if there is something, for example, you don't like in a vertical, it's necessary that they learn about it, what the audience want to see, or what was bad, or what was
yes,
good, because then
yep,
they can think about to maybe change something or
correct. Yep.
increase something if something is very good. you know?
Yep. And that's why I always try to tag not only the app, but if I know the production company or I know the director on that particular project, I always try to tag them in every review I
Yeah.
do so they can see what I think. Because here's the nice part is, and here's why I would encourage anybody to message the apps or the production companies or whatever, is there are voices out there that have voiced their opinion, but not everybody necessarily feels the same way, or other people have different ideas on how things could be done
Yeah.
or what worked and what didn't. So it's nice to kind of have a different voice, you know, and like you said, sugarcoating it doesn't help anybody. It really doesn't.
No, I
And
mean,
that's the thing. Don't get me wrong. There are some actors I generally love them, you know, but if they come out with a crap vertical that they didn't nail the part or something was missing, I'm not afraid to call them out on it.
yeah, as
So,
long, I always say constructive critic is allowed. As
yes.
long, if, for example, if you write them a DM and say, hey, I didn't like this vertical. It's not enough just to write, I don't like this vertical, or this is crap, or whatever.
Right.
Explain what you didn't like. You don't
Yeah,
have
so
to be able to write reviews because not every one of us is a texter. For example, I'm the best example.
right.
But explain why you didn't like it or explain why you liked something
Yes.
and always be kind because
Yes.
it helps nobody if you just send a DM and say this vertical was shit. It's don't
Right.
help nobody.
So I just had a review where I for the first time on one of my reviews, I had criticism for an actor. And again, this is an actor that I generally really love. It was Cameron Porras in the Daughter of Zeus that came out on Real Short right
I
around New
didn't
Year's
watch
Day.
it.
Yep, it was a great vertical. Don't get me wrong, I did love it. However, I wrote in my review that I felt that while Cameron did a great job, I felt that there was a bit of gruffiness and grit to the character that was missing. He did a great job with being romantic and emotionally, present, that sort of thing, but I was missing some of that grit to balance out the emotional part and the romantic part. And that's not a reflection on Cameron personally. It's just saying for this role, I would
Yeah,
have liked to see a little bit more balance and a little bit more grit, to, like I said, to balance out the romantic part.
yeah,
So that's not saying, oh, Cameron, that was crap because it wasn't manly enough or whatever. It's no, no, no. I would have liked to see you put more grit in the character to balance
yeah,
out the wonderful romantic essence that you gave him, sort of thing.
yeah,
So, and that's how, if you're going to approach an actor or a production team or app, or if you do decide someone does decide to write reviews, like you said, you can't just say it was crap. You have to say, okay, what can they do to make it better? What was missing for you? What would you like to see more of?
yeah,
Not just I felt like it was crap, because that's an opinion. That's objective, or
yeah.
that's subjective. You want to be as objective as you can.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, I mean, even the actors don't have always a good time sometimes, and then you see it in their acting because they have a real life as well and a private life, and they're going to some difficult things too, and still have to work. And
Yes.
that's why it's always can be like that. And I must say, I enjoy it a lot that we all have different kind of opinions. Sometimes they are similar,
Yeah.
but hey, just think about if we all would like the same things or we all would dislike the same thing, how boring would be our life?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and that's important, you know? I don't know. Do you remember how many reviews you wrote so far?
I know it's not nearly as much as I wanted to. I had lots of health challenges last year,
Yeah.
but this year I am trying to pump out 1 to 3 a week at least.
Wow.
So I'm on track to do that. I've got another one today, another Ukrainian one. So The Faking is
The
gonna
Fake
be my
King is my shadow daddy.
is my Shadow Daddy. That one will be coming up today. I loved that one, but I gotta admit, it's another example of a really crappy, ill-fitting title. There are
Definitely.
so many other
The
titles
title
that
is
that could have
bad,
been.
but I mean, it came out yesterday and it's I love it because the genre is so brand new. Because I didn't see something like that yet in the vertical space, and I always can repeat myself. I'm not just watching Ukrainian verticals, I'm watching verticals from all over the world.
Right.
And the costumes, the how they filmed it, the actors, it was so good. I really enjoyed it, and
Yes.
it's had the feeling that it's not really a vertical. It's more, you could easily publish it in a horizontal way.
Yep, and that's actually what I said in my review too. So yeah, so this one is another Ukrainian one that's absolutely blown me away. It's actually also going to be, and spoiler alert, since I'm posting it tonight anyways, it's actually going to be only the second vertical film that has scored a 9.9, so almost a perfect score. And
Ooh.
it is currently tied with The Love and Oblivion for my favorite vertical of 2026 so far. So
Ooh.
this it's definitely a game changer. I love that tackled a new type of genre and a new type of story without diminishing the quality or making them cheesy, because I've seen a lot of apps and a lot of production companies try to do something new just to boast that they're doing something new, and yet it turns out to be, recycled garbage disguised as something new, that's already, the storyline's basically already the same, or the quality of the production's diminished because they're such in a hurry to pump it out.
Yeah.
And that's something I've noticed quite a bit is, somebody comes up with an idea like mermaids, and suddenly there's three, four mermaid verticals coming all at once,
Yeah.
but none of them are made. Maybe one might be made at a decent quality, but the rest you can tell were just made hastily in a race to get the first one out to be the first one that has the new, you know, type of
I,
genre or trope or
yeah.
whatever.
I mean,
Same thing I think is happening with the pirate race right now. Everybody's racing to get the first pirate vertical out.
yeah.
And I'm kind of concerned. I do want to see a pirate vertical, but I want it to be a good one. I don't want just, super hurried poor quality vertical coming out. I want a good quality vertical.
Yeah. And I like it that there are new genres. I
Hmm.
really like it, even if I still miss sometimes now the werewolf verticals or mafia. Mafia verticals are still there, but not like they used to be. For
Yeah.
example, mafia movies used to be really like the mafia life, you know? Nowadays, they say they are a mafia boss, but actually, you don't see anything about mafia in this, beside they pulling sometimes a gun and hit someone, but that's not
Yep.
all about mafia. And it's the same with werewolves. Nowadays, they say it's a werewolf movie. They just call the lead actor Alpha, and that's it, what it is in the vertical. You never see something like they shifting or whatever.
Yeah,
They
it's
just
probably a
each.
CEO that just happens to be called Alpha, is what I've noticed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have a good imagination, you can call your boss Alpha from now on. So it's, I guess, like I heard in the podcast with Michaela and the vertical review
Our
recap, or what you
recaps. Yep.
yeah. Like you said, it's since I didn't celebrate Christmas this year out of known reasons. I saw there been a lot of Christmas movies, but you ladies said something like sometimes those verticals don't have anything in common with Christmas. Maybe just in the background you see a Christmas tree, or
Yep.
what did Mark Ponterelli said in Michaela's podcast? The only thing what has to do with Christmas is that the child actress on the end say, "And I wish you all a Merry Christmas."
Oh,
What?
yep.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of that this year. I think I only watched maybe two out of the, I'd say probably 10 Christmas verticals I watched. Only two of
yeah.
them were truly Christmas themed verticals. The others, like you said, were regular verticals that had, lights and trees in the background and,
Yeah.
had Christmas in the title, and that was it.
Yeah, and it's actually sad because they could be so able to do so much more. And but what I recently learned is that there are more and more verticals from UK coming out because you hear it by the
Yes.
accent, and they're
Yes.
doing good. And they
Yes.
have
Yep.
new actors in it, and I like that a lot. And I guess what is the vertical on my drama is it's thin ice. For example, the lead actor, what is his name? Diego, something with C. I Googled him and he's from Germany. He's half
Oh,
Portuguese and half German, but I guess he lives in Germany.
nice.
Yeah. And
Nice. Yeah, no, I think I've watched maybe two English verticals this month so far. Um, Nothing quite where I feel compelled to write reviews at this point. I think they're a little fresh of an industry in the UK. I think there needs to be more time and production given into that. And maybe I'm not seeing all of it because, again, I'm here in the United States. I'm sure every region of the world has their own filtered entertainment
yeah.
industry where they're going to see some things, but then they're not going to see as much of the other things.
Mhm.
So it may be possible that maybe I'm just not seeing uh, how the true amount of British verticals that are out there. I'll be honest, like I said, I up until 2 weeks ago, I really hadn't seen any, and honestly hadn't been looking for them either. Just kind of whatever comes across the apps I do the little app
Yeah, and
rotation
I mean,
subscription on,
you you only recognize it if you listening to the accent.
Right, right.
And you can hear that's not an Australian accent, even if they sound a little bit familiar or and have something in common, you know. But you
Yeah.
can hear it. And I like it a lot that there are so many new actors who try to get a spot in this business. Yeah, in the past few days, you could see a lot of postings that like A-list actors will join the vertical space. But also, for example, I read, or yeah, I saw a message that, for example, Kim Kardashian is trying to get into this industry. And I said, hell
Yes.
no. But it's the same
She
like
is.
here.
She already is. She has deals in place already. So she already is. I think it's more behind the scenes as like a producer, if I remember correctly, than in front of the camera.
Then it's
So
okay. Then it's okay if she's behind the camera and maybe is sponsoring those verticals because it's cost a lot. And that's fine, but I don't want to see her in front of the camera. Because, for example, here in Europe, there are more and more locations where they shooting now verticals, like in Italy, like Lithuania, UK, and where else? In France, they started to shooting, and they had casting calls here in Germany as well. But to the casting calls, or not the recent one which I posted, because on this one I tagged Pierre Loger and Fabian Arnold, because it's a German production company which is pretty big. But in this case, they're looking for actors. But a few weeks ago, they had a casting call where they were looking not for actors, explicit, not for actors. They're looking for influencers with a special amount of follower. And I reposted it in my story and said, I guess you don't want to have success. If you want to have success, even here in Germany, because in Germany, verticals are not that common yet. Yeah,
yes,
yeah, the casting call. And if you want to do it here in Europe, which is great because there are a lot of great locations where you can shoot. For example, in France and Italy, they have great landscapes. Even here in Germany, if you want to do a fantasy thing, we have castles here.
I was gonna
And
say Germany has amazing castles.
and the only thing is, if you want to have success, I would recommend don't do it in the language of this country. Do it in English. Do it
Yep.
internationally, because then you have the access to more people in the audience. And don't use, like I said, influencer, because they don't know how to act. and this always will have a bad touch of reality TV. And I don't like reality shows.
But at the same time, they're doing it for money reasons, which I understand. At the end of the day, it all comes down to money. And I think that's a lot of why there's so much fear about what's going on in the vertical industry. I get it. I have mixed feelings about it. I appreciate what Tay Diggs is doing by bringing diversity to a vertical. I
Yes.
definitely think that needs to happen 100%.
Yes.
And if he has to be in a vertical to help bring in diversity, go for it, whatever. My concern is I just don't want A-list actors to flood the vertical world and see it as a quick, easy buck. In when Hollywood, traditional Hollywood is still in a funk. They're still in a little lull right now to where jobs are still hard to get. I don't want, not that he ever would, but like Brad Pitt going to verticals and thinking, oh, well, I'm not getting any jobs and I need money or whatever. And he does a whole bunch of verticals and squeezes Eric Gilmet out or whatever. I'm just throwing these kind of out in the air. I believe that the super top A-list actors would ever go for verticals? I don't think so. I think that there have been some posts, particularly from one of the casting agencies up in Canada, that are correct. I don't think Brad Pitt, George Clooney,
No.
all those guys are going to be coming down to verticals. But
Maybe
we
for a
can
cameo. Maybe for a cameo that would be okay. But
maybe, but some of these other actors who are in the middle. They're not quite, Tom Hanks, George Clooney status, but they're also ways further in their journey, we'll put it that way, further in their acting journey and more well known than even our top vertical actors are at this
yeah,
point in time. And and for them to kind of, I don't want to say backtrack because it's not really a backtrack, but for them to circle around to verticals, especially when, let's face it, a majority of the Hollywood industry has been mocking verticals since they came over to the United States 3, 4 years
yeah,
ago, and now they want to jump in just because there's money in it and it's growing and making a business. I mean, that's
yeah,
morally questionable in my, especially motive wise, is
yeah,
questionable in my opinion, as opposed to the creatives who have made the vertical industry what it is and made it such a beautiful place and created relationships with production companies, clients, but also the audience too. I mean,
yeah,
can anyone honestly say that they've had, Instagram messages repeatedly with somebody like Tom Hanks or,
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
of that nature?
It's
I
not
mean,
happening.
no, it's not. But yet,
But
I,
I guess,
I've had conversations with DMs with vertical actors like Eric and Robert Walkins, and all that sort of stuff, and that wouldn't happen normally. And I think the fans really appreciate that, and I think there's a fear that that'll change if
yeah,
the Hollywood actors come in and soak up all the jobs on our creatives.
yeah, that's right. But I'm totally with you what you said. And what I'm concerned about is I don't think that these B-listed actors, let's call them this way, that they would work in the vertical space for the same money like other actors right now. I guess they would ask for more money, and then it's a problem that they can't. Yeah, we all know they don't have much money to shoot those verticals, and if those stars are coming, where they get the money from, you know?
So here's my thought on it, because I've thought about this a little bit because I've seen lots of different posts. Is those B actors would only come down to verticals, in my opinion, especially if they've previously made fun of them, if they needed money. And
Yeah,
if you need money, money is money. So I have a feeling that they will lower their rates that they're willing to accept just to get some sort of money to make it so they don't have to be a barista or bartend or
yeah,
whatever. Okay. So I think they will accept a lower fee than they're used to. Will it be higher than what, say, like Eric Gomez getting at this point? I don't know. I can't answer that. But I do know, even if it is a little bit higher, from I'm putting my head in a production company or even an app perspective. Am I, if I have an item, we'll put it this way, because I like to talk in situational metaphors. Say like I go out to buy a cell phone, okay? You have one cell phone that is pretty good. It's well known. You've used that model before. You know the ins and outs. You know the company, and it works well. And it's $1,500. But then there's this new model of phone, not quite tested yet, but it's 1,600, or sorry, I'm getting that mixed up, but it's $1,400. Which one are you going to go for? You're going to go for the one that you know is going to perform better, even though it costs a little bit more, than opposed to the one that you're unfamiliar with, but it's cheaper. In my opinion, I think vertical apps are going to be willing to pay a little bit more to get the name that the household average American who doesn't currently watch verticals knows, to draw those people in as
Yeah.
purchasers of coins or new subscribers. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, those of us that are hooked on verticals are hooked on verticals. The apps don't have to worry about us anymore because they know we're hooked. So now their goal is to bring in new subscribers. And
Yeah.
the only way that you're going to do that is with names, because we
Well-known
do.
actors. Yeah.
Right, well-known actors who are going to bring their fandoms, or people, fans, regular Joe Schmo fans, they're going to bring it in. And if they have to pay a couple $100, even a grand or two more to bring that in, it might be worth it. Because if a grand is going to bring in a
Yeah.
thousand followers, are going to pay $20 a week or $200 a year or whatever their subscription is, or more than that, they're going to make more than their investment. So you have
Yeah.
to constantly be thinking about not necessarily what's good for the actors that we know and the world and the stories and everything, but financially. Because at the end of the day, the entertainment industry is still a business.
Yeah.
These apps are still
Definitely.
businesses. So that's kind of where my concern comes from, is these B-list actors may or may not be squeezing job outs, but I think they're being brought in, or might be brought in, because we don't know. Tate Eggs is just one example, and maybe
Yeah.
this is going to be a one-off and everybody's wrong, and B-list actors are not going to come because they're still turning up their noses at verticals. I don't know. Nobody knows
Mm.
the future. And I think that's an important thing to remember, is we don't know what's going to happen. We aren't a
Yeah.
part of those app CEO meetings and everything like that.
Yeah. And
We
we
have
are not
no idea.
witches. We are not witches with a glass
Exactly.
ball on our desk.
Exactly. So freaking out right now over a single actor being in one app to try and bring diversity, because the articles explicitly state that that's one of his goals. I don't think we should panic yet. Should we be aware and watch things going
Yeah.
forward? Sure. But I don't think we should be freaking out right now. Um,
No.
I do I do think we should just be aware and kind of watch it. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the apps, because they're the ones paying the bills and doing the money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're a business. They're going to make business decisions. And at the end of the day, unless it really hurts their bottom line, they're not really going to give a crap about our opinions. They're going to do what brings in the most money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, it's difficult as well. For example, in the Ukrainian vertical space, there are a lot of actors and actresses who got offered, for example, roles in Turkey, in China, in LA, and so on. But especially the male Ukrainians are not allowed to leave the country. But I guess those production companies would pay a lot to get them there as well, like Nazar Graba, like Bogdan Ruben, like Max Katchenko, etc. I guess in some cases, the production companies or investors will spend more money if they really need one or if they really want one.
Yes.
But unfortunately, these gentlemen are not allowed to leave the country.
Right.
And we will see how it's working out. I mean, like you said, the diversity, because what was his name?
Tate eggs. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
He's I love his mission. I love his mission, and he is a good actor. I am anxious to see what he does with this.
Yeah, we
Um,
will see. And like I said,
yeah.
and if there are more internationally well-known actors will join this business just as a cameo, that would be cool. I mean, it's just yeah, commercial for verticals. And I guess this could be fun. But if it's someone who is taking over in total and think they are better than everyone else, it's difficult. Let's say it this way.
Well, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I think the ones that will agree to do verticals are ones that need money and want an acting job. And so I
And
don't know that if you're in a position where I don't want to say that desperate, but you're agreeing to do something that you normally wouldn't agree to because you need the money or you need the acting, to dust off the rust with the acting. I don't think, hopefully, they would be in a place to be arrogant and rude and disrupt the environment of a vertical set. And I also
yeah,
think, and other people have posted this, I think honestly, the Hollywood stars, B-list actors, whoever joins on to the verticals, I think they're in for a rude awakening on just how different vertical sets run.
yes, that's
So
what I
that's
just wanted to say. Maybe they shooting a
that
vertical and say, "Oh my God, that's nothing for me. What a pace."
exactly,
And how much do I
exactly.
have to learn for each day? That's not mine. I prefer to earn my millions for shooting a movie, which we shoot for over 3 months or something. But this pace, that's nothing for me. It could be possible that there's one or another actor who would think like that.
Right. Yeah, so I think that'll also filter out a lot of the actors that just want to swoop in for money reasons as a quick money grab. But like I said, there's no point in us speculating right now because we're not in the room of decision makers. And
Yeah.
that's okay. For right now, that's okay because we are the audiences. We are not the CEOs as much as I'm
Let's
sure
say it
some
this
people would love
way.
to be.
It's like way back then when the first robots came out to do some jobs which yeah usually people are doing. What did everyone say? Oh my God, we don't want robots because they're taking the jobs away from the people. Maybe it's something similar because it's gone.
Maybe. I just, like I said, I don't think there's any point in freaking out right now because it's one
No,
actor doing one vertical. Let's wait and see and kind of see what the future holds as far as that. But in the meantime, I mean, like I said before, money talks to apps. So if we keep supporting the creatives who are already here, the ones we already love, we can use our voices in that regard. And I think
yeah,
that'll speak the loudest volumes if we keep supporting them with our subscriptions and our coins to, you
yes.
know,
I
that.
had last year an interview with Anton Skripets. He's the licensing and partnership executive of Amo Pictures. And he started to talking about like in this vertical space, there are two different people. On the one hand, there are the investors. On the other hand, are the fans. And I said, hold on, we are investors as well because we are paying a lot of money to watch all these apps. And he said, I like that. I never heard about that, but I like that. And it is like that, not just the official investors paying for it. The people who are watching those verticals, they paying a lot of money as well. And that's why the average of the age of the audience, it's a little bit higher because, yeah, teenagers or young people can't afford it.
Yeah, yeah, and as far as the cost of apps and stuff like that, I think we're going to see two things happen this year in that regard. I do think we're going to see well, I hope. I don't know that it'll happen this year, but I do think it is inevitable. We will see a growth of apps, which we're seeing right now. So there's a huge amount of apps, but I think eventually there'll be a condensation of that, or sorry, condensing of that. to just the ones that are really putting out, what audiences want to see or the amount that audiences want to
Yeah.
see. But also, I think when that happens, it will go hand in hand with a price adjustment to what subscriptions and coins are. I do
Yes.
think that the apps are starting to at least acknowledge that there are financial limiting factors to their current and potential new subscribers. I know that here in my area, when I've talked to other people in my life about verticals, for example, a couple coworkers at the vet clinic, we were talking about verticals and like, oh yeah, we saw ads and we really love the story, but when we clicked on it, they said it was free, but then it was only free up to a point. And I said, that's the paywall. And they're like, well, we saw how much it cost, and even the weekly subscription, that's a lot of money for us, and so
Yeah.
we didn't subscribe. We forgot about it and moved on. And I think companies are starting to kind of figure some of that out, because I have seen in the tail end of this past year apps run sales on subscriptions. Apple has a really good little hack that you can get subscriptions a little bit cheaper if you go through Apple as opposed to going directly to
Yeah,
the app.
but
So
there's one condition. You have to have already once a subscription for this app. If you don't have
that
it,
is
then you don't get the offer with Apple.
that is true. However, the amount that Apple saves you ends up more than paying for the initial subscription.
Yeah.
So, and it's not every app that Apple has that
No.
hack for. But it is pretty significant on some apps to where it's definitely worthwhile, and that's something people can play around with. But my point is I think apps are starting to realize that they need to adjust what they cost for the average consumer, in order to bring new consumers in.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that apps are going to survive, is if they keep bringing in new subscribers or new
Yeah.
new customers. I
Yeah.
think I think I think apps are slowly figuring out things, or slowly listening, and some things are just going to take time. So we'll see what 2026 holds, but I think, it's inevitable that there will be condensing of apps and
Yeah,
and
everyone
a,
wants
a
to jump
price
on the
adjustment.
bandwagon. That's why we have so many new apps.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how many are there. I guess around 200 or more. I'm not sure about it.
Yes. Yeah, I
And
think I think Cindy Sorley keeps a an updated tabs on how many there are, and I think that last time I checked, there was like well over 250, 260 different apps. And I've said this before, I believe on the recap before with Michaela of Let's Talk Verticals, is for me, for an app, it has to be doing not only quality verticals, but quantity. If they're
yeah,
only putting out one original or exclusive vertical story per month or even per week, I generally won't subscribe to that, at least not on a regular basis. I might do once every couple months pop in and do a binge watch for like a week, but more often than not, I don't. I actually, this week I just deleted two apps that in 2025, I watched one vertical on them for the whole
which one was
2025.
it?
EA Shorts, and then I think it was Flick Reels. I have
Okay.
seen ads for more Flick Reel stuff since I deleted it, because our phones are always
Yeah,
listening and paying attention. But EA Shorts was an easy, quick delete, because not only did I only watched one vertical on it, but it took a huge amount of space up on my phone. So
yeah.
that was great to free up space, because I still have like 35, 36 apps, vertical apps on my phone. So
I
it's
actually
pretty tight.
yeah, I actually don't know how many of these apps I have on my PC, but usually I'm watching always the same vertical apps, especially if
Yep.
they are being Ukrainian verticals. But regarding Ukrainian verticals, do you remember what was your first Ukrainian vertical you watched?
Ooh. I don't offhand. I'm pretty sure it was a boy love one, because I that's actually how I found a lot of Ukrainian ones, is they were it was the Boy Love ones, and then because they do those, I have to say they do those the best. If you're looking for a Boy Love vertical, the Ukrainian ones are the way to go.
Yeah,
And then
his Lost Boy,
yes,
his Lost Boy,
Lost
his
Boy,
only
and
one,
then
and no, Your Majesty.
yes, yep. His Lost Boy, the only one, is actually my favorite Boy Love one. The story is such a true, well done vertical story, and I think out of all the Boy Love ones I've seen, it has I think one of the best chemistries between the two leads. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've watched it multiple times since. So I loved it. But I also like how the Ukrainian verticals tend to be, I'm going to say more spicy, but I want to take a second to define spicy because to me, spicy, my definition of spicy does not always mean sex scenes.
Hmm.
There can be intimacy without sex.
Yeah.
And when I say spicy, I'm talking intimacy, not just sex. So the Ukrainian verticals are really good at intimacy, at creating a deep, intense sort of romantic story that, yes, is going to have spicy sex scenes and stuff like that. But the intensity of those romance stories just really appeals to me. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes they can be quite dark. I find Ukrainian verticals to be more darker, or more dark, I should say, than a lot of other verticals. So, you know, they're not for everybody, but the intensity, the other thing that I really like about Ukrainian verticals is the attention to detail and the quality of the
Yes.
cinematography is
Yes.
far above any American vertical. The only ones who are on the same level for detail and cinematography as the Ukrainians would be the Turkish films. The Turkish films have been absolutely amazing lately.
Yeah.
DramaPops has been killing it lately with the quality that they're putting out. But yeah, the Ukrainian ones are just fantastic for that, and I really appreciate that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just think about, especially the Ukrainian verticals, under which circumstances they are shooting them.
Absolutely. And that's just when you put that in your mind, like as a reviewer, I try to like forget the special circumstances and like level the playing field that everybody's playing on. But when you look at the Ukrainian verticals and they're killing it, and when I'm in my mind putting them on the same circumstantial level as everybody else, and then you throw in the fact that they're not on the same circumstantial level as everybody else, just kind of blows my mind that they can
Yeah.
accomplish such quality under such obstacles, I guess I'll say,
Yeah.
it's just it's quite a feat. It's almost a miraculous, challenge for them to be doing this. It's wonderful.
Yes, and I mean they have the same pace everywhere else in the world, and they have back-to-back projects as well. And sometimes they have to reschedule maybe one shooting day because most of the day they were, yeah, hiding in shelters if it's necessary, so they can finish it on time. It's pretty difficult, let's say it this way. But even the crew members, many of them, directors, cameramen, etc., they coming from the horizontal business. They have the
Just
possibility
so they
to
can get some work.
no to let them what shoot those verticals in a cinematic way.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
even if it's that's what Anton said, that even if the budget is not high, they still try to let it
It's a very
shine.
artistic way that they shoot. It really is.
Yes. Yes.
It's pure art. It's pure art, and I love that. And if you can make a vertical feel like a traditional horizontal type film, more the better. The
Yes.
faking is it's definitely one of those examples like we mentioned earlier. It just feels like a movie that you would go to the cinema and see
Yes.
and
It,
walk out and buy later on a DVD or streaming service or whatever.
Yes.
And that is truly an incredible feat and an accomplishment that should always be recognized and appreciated, especially when you factor in the circumstances that they film in.
And there are two verticals which came out this year, which have more the cinematic view that you easily could watch it in a cinema theater or on TV in a horizontal way. It's Love in Oblivion and The Faking is My Shadow
Yes.
Daddy. They don't
Yes.
look like verticals at all.
No, no,
And
no.
there are a lot of, or not a lot of, but there are some verticals, for example, from America, which have sometimes the same feeling that it's more like for TV or cinema theaters. I love that. For example, The Diamond Rose with Jackson Tiller. It didn't felt for me like it's a vertical. It was different. And what was the name? It's on my drama as well. It's with Thomas King, something with
Oh,
Mile. I forgot the title of this vertical, but there are a few
mm.
shows where I really sit in front of my phone and say, "Oh my God, what would I do to watch this vertical on my TV in a horizontal way?"
I actually I felt that way too when well Dungeons of Ecstasy and Love and Blood were in those categories for sure. But then Game of Choice came out, and honestly, Game of Choice in my mind could have easily been a horizontal as well. And you're definitely seeing more of that. But like I said before, I just think some of these Ukrainian verticals and Turkish verticals are just a hair above what we've seen from some of the American ones.
Yes,
And I
especially
know Dungeons of Dragons was set in Italy, and I get that, but I'm talking about the production aspect of it.
yes, yes,
So
yes. I know what you mean. And especially the intimacy scenes are in Europe differently than to the rest of the world. We Europeans are more open-minded. And we don't have a problem, for example, if there's an intimacy scene where one or maybe both actors are totally naked in Love and Oblivion. There's one scene where both actors having the act and both are really
mhm.
naked. And you don't see it so often, or actually never somewhere. And I must admit, I don't always need intimacy scenes, sex scenes. I always say it's more important to see the chemistry between two people and you see the spark in between them, even if they don't do anything together. But you see the spark just by looking at each other, and that's so much more interesting. But yes, some people texted me from all over the world. Oh my God, how could they shoot that? It's they are naked in there, and so I said it's nothing to be naked. It's nothing special for us. For example, in private life, if you want to go to a sauna here in Germany, you don't wear a swimsuit. You going into the sauna naked. You can cover up with a towel if you want to. But usually you are going naked into the sauna. That's totally normal for us and that has nothing to do with sexuality.
Well, and that's the thing I think a lot of people forget when talking or criticizing verticals is different areas of the world are going to have different cultures and different
Yes.
ideologies on certain things. A lot of people will be upset over a lot of anti-feminism sort of vibes in verticals and violence against what they perceive as violence against women. And I'm not saying that it isn't, because some of it really is. But you got to remember that there are some countries, for better or worse, that that's normal for them, or not normal, but it's not as taboo as it is here in America. Whereas
Yeah.
like you're pointing out, something that's taboo here in America is probably more normal for Ukrainians, or maybe the folks in, let's say, England, Ireland, Scotland, they're even less okay with the nudity and sexual scenes and stuff like that, whereas us Americans maybe a little bit better. I think it depends on the region, but you also have to remember within that region, there may be people who are okay when the region's not okay. For example, I'm a spicy vertical person. I'm I
Me
I
too.
thought the scenes in Love and Oblivion were splendidly done, and I
Yes.
had no problem watching them. Now, granted, I made sure I wasn't going to be on a public plane or a bus or something like that when I watched them, but
Yes.
at the same time, it's not going to bother me where it
Yeah.
might bother someone else.
And
So,
especially,
and go ahead.
go on, go on.
I was just gonna say, and verticals have to fit everybody.
Yes.
So they can't just, as much as some people would like the fluffy, non-spicy rom-com romanticy ones, that doesn't fit everybody. So that's
Yeah,
why verticals have to have a nice spectrum of different
definitely.
kinds of things. And how pretty would a rainbow be if it only had one or two colors? You got to
That's
have
true. That's a nice
the
saying.
full you got to have the full spectrum. If the spicy verticals or the BDSM verticals or the verticals where they're slapping women aren't your thing, that's okay. But they are still allowed to exist for
Uh,
those that are okay with it, and maybe use it as their own weird form of escapism, or something that they can relate to or feel that maybe they've experienced it, and because they're seeing it in a vertical, they feel better because now it's not as taboo as it was. Whereas other people might be triggered by it, so they don't want to watch it. That's fine.
there are a
Everybody's
lot
going to
of
be different.
there are a lot of subjects where the people get triggered, and it's in different kinds. But you said something about cultural differences. For example, what I always see, maybe it's an Asian thing that if the CEO is entering the building or the billionaires coming home and all the maids and servants bowing down. You don't do
Yes.
that in the Western part of this world. And those are the differences. And like you said, intimacy scenes. For example, me as a European, or I just can say it out of my perspective, if I'm watching intimacy scenes, sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm bored because it's nothing special for me. For others, they would say, "Oh my God, that was so spicy." And I said, "Ah."
Right.
Yes, what I think we had enough for now are the BDSM stuff because it felt like every second vertical had BDSM in it. And
Well, and here's the thing with the BDSM ones, because like I said, I usually that's one of my go-to type of tropes or whatever. The ones that have been coming out recently have been such poor quality in the fact that they're not true BDSM ones anymore. Because BDSM ones don't just mean handcuffing someone, tying them up, and whipping them until they cry, sort of thing. Like, that's
yeah,
not what
yeah,
the BDSM world is. And I would encourage people that to really research that world. And I know not everybody, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but to gain a better understanding of it before you either criticize it or praise it or whatever, to research that world, because there are very strict heuristics and or rules that that world kind of goes by. And I think the verticals are just throwing out, for lack of a better word, clickbait sort of
yeah.
scenes and calling them BDSM stuff, and that's not really what it is.
And the
You
funny
know,
thing
I
is,
was
all the billionaires have a red room at home, so it's funny to see.
it's not just, and that's like I said, that's the thing is BDSM is not just bringing someone to a red room and tying them up and flogging them with the whip type thing or the flogger. It's just, there's a lot that goes into BDSM before that. And, you know, it bothers me that a lot of these verticals are being labeled BDSM, and then you have stuff like definite non-consent, no safe words. There's not a discussion over greens and reds or things you can do and things you can't do, sort of thing. Like, it just, some of those, or even the contracts. I had a discussion with a fellow reviewer about some BDSM verticals a couple times actually, about how if contracts for these BDSM ones or even the contract lover ones, they're kind of glossed over. They're like, oh, here's a piece of paper, just sign it, and then that's it. There, you don't know what's in the contract. There's no real discussion. There's
Yeah,
no revisions to the contract because let's face it, in that type of situation, there's going to be at least one or there's going to be a couple drafts or edits of a contract. It's not going to be everybody's on the same page and ready to go
Yeah,
in 30
in these
seconds. So,
verticals, it's always about the dominant part and the submissive part. And only the dominant part is always doing all the rules, and they decide what it's in it or not. And the submissive person don't have to say anything. They just
well,
have to sign.
and that's the thing is there the two biggest things for the BDSM world is communication and trust. And these verticals are doing a really, really poor job of making sure that those are a part of the BDSM verticals
Yes,
as a part of the BDSM culture because
yes,
that's again trust and communication that you cannot have any sort of BDSM relationship in real life without those two.
yeah.
You can't. And the verticals are either completely ignoring it, glossing over it, or blatantly going against it.
But there are so many things in this vertical world. It's not just regarding BDSM. I think even if we are all adults, I think even verticals should have sometimes a little bit of educational service. And not just in this case, but for example, if they are having a sex scene, they never protect themselves. They always getting immediately pregnant. And even if we are all adults, they should use some protection. It doesn't matter if it's a condom, if it's the birth control pill, or whatever. They should talk about it. And it's not only the protection regarding getting pregnant or not getting pregnant, it's regarding sicknesses which you can get. And I think it's so necessary that they have a little piece of education in it because many people get triggered by that these actors have meeting up the first time they're hooking up and she's immediately pregnant. Some others out there, they try since years to become parents and it's not happening. So they should be more sensitive with some subjects, and not just in a sexual way in those verticals, because I think we don't need always sexual scenes. Like I mentioned before, I think sometimes relationships between those characters, it doesn't matter if it's a couple, if it's family members or business partners. It's sometimes more interesting than always showing those sexual parts. And I know for fact that a few, for example, Ukrainian actors told me they don't like always those sex scenes. It's too much. And I can understand it somehow. And it's the same like what this vertical space maybe should change to is, for example, I don't like, or I like age gap stories, but I don't like it that they are taking an actor, maybe begin of his 30s, middle of his 30s, just put some gray spray on their hair, and
Yep.
they acting like they are old. And then they have a
Yes.
female actress, which looks so young that you maybe could think she is 16, 17, not even
Right.
18. Don't do that. If you want that there's an age gap thing, or even what did Sergey Denga told me in our conversation, why they don't write stories where the lead actors are actually in my age or a little bit older. I mean, I'm 47, because he said even in our age, we still can fall in love. We still can have all these things which these youngsters have in this verticals. Yes, most people want to see the handsome guys, those young guys, or those amazing, beautiful actresses. But why they don't use actors for leading roles which are more older? Because
That's something that even traditional Hollywood struggles. If you ask older actors in Hollywood, it's the same problem. There's definitely a bias on age and, basically a discrimination based upon age
Yes,
in regular Hollywood. And I think that just unfortunately has translated over into the vertical world as well. And I will say though, I have seen some really well done verticals
yes,
that have been with older actors and
yes.
actresses.
Not
I
much. You can
I
count them
think
on
I
one
think
hand.
you can. Yep. But I think the problem again therein lies with who the audience is. That may be something to where there needs to be a campaign or a focus on drawing in an audience who's an older base, who then is not demanding, but asking for certain verticals to be made. Or when those few verticals that come out that do have the older actors, those are the ones that need to blow up with reviews and
Yes,
with publicity and stuff like that. But interestingly enough, I sometimes wonder if an older B-list actor, if they came in, if that would help that sort of genre gain some
maybe.
light and gain some
Let's
ground. Again, flipping back to the other conversation, here's a situation where B-list actors coming in actually might help out
That would be
a
cool.
a weak spot in the vertical world.
That would definitely be
There might be
cool. That would be cool. But I must admit, too, for many of the ladies in the audience, these actors and actresses could be their kids. And not every, or the audience, I believe if they're watching a storyline, sometimes they imagine how it would be if they would be in this situation. But the problem is not everyone likes a younger partner. You know what I mean? And that's
Yep.
why I think they should do sometimes a little bit older people who acting in these roles, because like I said, not everyone wants a younger partner or thinking
Right.
about having an affair with someone who could be their children.
I did hear that a newer app called Gamma Time actually has two verticals with older lead. One is I forget the name, and Dahlia's gonna yell at me. There's a well, because she's the one that told me about it and told me to watch it, but I haven't downloaded Gamma Time yet because I'm a little tight on funds because I have some trips coming up. But there's one that is an older couple romance story. Both the lead actor and lead actress are older, and she loved it, and I wished it was. Road to something. I forget what it was. She did write a review on it. Check out Dahlia's page. It's on there.
Yeah,
It's from Gamma Time. I want to say it's the
you-
road between us or something like that. But
with a motorcycle. I wanted to
yes,
watch it, but I don't have this app and I can afford the subscription for it.
but
But
I recently saw ads on my social media for another one on the same app, Gamma Time, that has Shay Dean there with an older actress whose name I'm sorry, I forget. But it's the age
Liv
gap
Kirby,
story, but it's no, no, it's an age gap story, but it's reverse. The woman is older and the man is younger, and we do not see those hardly ever. And so that one really intrigues me. When I do finally when I am finally able to get Gamma Time subscription, that'll be one of the first two verticals that I watch because that really does intrigue me.
my dear, did you watch Love Too Risky to Resist?
No, I have not watched that one yet.
You should. It's an age gap.
Which one is that one on?
It's on my drama.
It is on my drama?
Mhm. It was Bogdan Ruban and Lee Berlinska. He's playing a 21-year-old and she is 37, 39.
Oh, I have another one.
And
I
it's a
need to watch
spicy
it.
one, but very beautiful, filmed and in a decent way. And even if you see a lot, you don't see anything because they filmed it like you have it in some movies if they dreaming or remembering what's happened once that the picture getting a little bit blurry, not blurry, but like foggy. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't see anything, but in your imagination you see everything. They have a storyline in this situation of this intimacy scene, for example, which is very beautiful. But get back to the Ukrainian verticals. I hear that you recently those two new verticals from Ukraine. But before that, are there any favorite Ukrainian verticals you watched before?
Oh, I have I have quite a few that I have watched and love, and I actually was trying to pull up a list because there was quite a few. Like I said, I really enjoy how the Ukrainians do the BDSM ones, or not the BDSMs, I'm sorry, the boy love ones. For example, I recently watched Wicked Game and what was the other boy love one?
I'm his obsession. No, not I'm.
Obsessed with You,
He is my
Obsessed with
obsession.
You, and no, there's three of them that I watched. So there's
His lost boy, his only one.
Oh no, that one's on I saw that one on DramaBox. That one is still like I said, that one still takes my top spot for boy love ones. I'm talking about ones I've seen on my drama because I've been on a my drama binge recently.
Know
So
your maestry.
what? Oh, Know
No,
Your Majesty. That one. So Wicked Game, Know Your Majesty, and Obsessed with You. I watched all three of those within the last month. Absolutely adored them. Thought they were fantastic. I really enjoyed The President's Secret Daughter. That was another really good one that I watched recently. Oh, Scarlet Seduction was good too. Trying to see if there's some older ones that I watched. I did watch Pregnant Cinderella. It was okay. I wasn't overly thrilled with it.
no, me either.
Get
This
in
is, for
touch, my
example,
vampire
a
killer.
vertical which you can watch on my drama, but also for free. I'm not sure right now, out of my mind, if it's Dramatize Me or Love Buster TV on YouTube for free. But
Oh, okay.
there are a few verticals where we seen while they shot those verticals that they had BTS stories from Love Busters, for example. And
Hmm.
then they released it first on my drama, and later on they released it on YouTube for free, but with different kind of titles. And mostly it's not just one vertical; they split it. Sometimes you have one or three episodes which are not in the length of the normal episodes, but they have all different kind of names. So it's pretty hard to find them if you don't know how to watch for it.
Oh,
But that's why I'm
okay.
writing my vertical descriptions, because I'm giving you the information in which what the new titles on YouTube are. But I'm not posting it immediately because I have their I'm publishing them sorted by the release date. And are there actors or actresses from Ukraine which you prefer to watch?
Oh, well, you can't go wrong with Nazar and Bogan, but I
Nazagaba?
also Bogan. Yes, thank you. I am terrible at pronouncing names.
Oh, sometimes me
Um,
too.
and I do like, I wish I could remember it.
What movie?
Eugene, the one from Love and Oblivion.
Uh,
I do like him. I watch a lot of his verticals as well. You're gonna have to help me with names because I'm so terrible.
Eugene
Um,
Lesnichi.
Thank you. But also I'm super I know he's not Ukrainian, but I'm super in love with Mark. Um,
Mark Shatner.
and yes, yes.
He is incredible
I
good. And let me say it this way. While I got into this vertical space, I was talking to a few people out of the community, and he has three American verticals. One with Mariah Moss, one with Liv Kirby, and the
Yes.
other one is with Naomi.
Okay.
But in this one, he only had a side role, and it's not a good role because he beat her up. But he didn't even had a role name in it. But at this point, so many people said, "Oh my God, how you can watch a vertical with him? He's ugly, he is not good," and so on. And I said, "What? He is good. He's good looking," and so on. And he's German. And let's say this way, in May, I was able to meet him because he had for 3 months a gig in a theater here in Cologne. A friend of mine and me, we went to this show and watched it. And after the show, we met him. That's where we got those a few autographs from him for the Verticon auction. And actually, I almost didn't went there because it was only a few days after my mom passed. And I was talking to my friend, and she said, "Hey, your mom wouldn't like that you don't go. You should go." And that was good because his theater show was really good and funny. And in this vertical recently, oh my God, he played it so damn well. And I have the feeling if the fans are already going crazy about him, and you see how many reviews came out about this vertical, I hope for him that it will give him another push that he get more hired even in the States for verticals because he lives
right?
in New
Well,
York. He lives in New York.
I'll tell you right now, the one he did with Mariah Moss is actually on my comfort vertical list. And my comfort vertical list is the one when I get tired mentally from watching new verticals, I will go to this list and just watch them over and over again. And a lot of times I'll fall asleep at night to them if I'm feeling anxious or whatever. And his one with Mariah Moss is on that list. And like for example, last week I had a really rough week and I must have watched that vertical at least a dozen times. And I'm being literal when I say a dozen times because I loved it. And let's face it, it wasn't a fantastic story, but the his acting, Mariah's acting, the chemistry they had between each other,
Yeah,
it worked. And so
definitely.
I watch it. Like I said, he's one of my top foreign vertical actors, if you will, that I watch. I would say he would be for me. I know a lot of people go after like everybody loves Nazar. I love Nazar too, but I think if I had to pick two, because I can't pick just one, but if I had to pick two, it would be Mark, and then my other one would be help me out with a name, Yaroslav, the
Jaroslav
one from
Schindler.
Thank you. And I think those two are both brilliant actors, and I am dying to see them more in some. And I did see Slav in the new one, the Fey King one, and he had just the most
Yeah,
minor
he was
role,
a
and I was
servant. He was a servant.
he was, but I was just I wish they had given him more lines and more screen time because it would have been even more perfect than it already was as far as a
Yeah.
vertical. But those two are would be my top two picks for foreign actors. Absolutely. I love them both. I feel like they both have extremely underrated talent. I don't think they're being appreciated to the level that they need to be.
I don't know if you watched The Fighter Who Stole My Pulse on Real Short with Nazar Graba and Mary Wisniewska.
I didn't. I've been taking a break from Real Short. I am have been very disappointed in not only
Yeah,
Real Short's content, but also disappointed in the controversy that has been surrounding them regarding their contest. So
I know.
at this point in time, I'm taking a break. Unfortunately, I have not seen that. It is nothing against Nazar at all. I will eventually see it and hopefully write a review on it, but I have not currently seen it.
Yeah. One of the actors in it, Arthur Schrippre, he played the villain in it. For example, he was on his way to set to shoot a new vertical and got stopped by the military recruitment. And since then, he have to serve his country. He couldn't even go to set no more. They stopped
Oh,
him
wow.
and he had to go to serve his country. And it's really hard to see and hear something like that. And I adore them. I just adore those Ukrainian people.
Yeah. Like I said, they're in a category of their own just because they go through extraordinarily different circumstances
Let's
that
say
I
it this
don't think
way.
a lot of people appreciate it.
Let's say it this way. Yes, they can have their own category for example, best foreign vertical, but they should no, it should be possible also that they can get nominated for best actor or best actress,
I absolutely agree.
and that they don't just stay in this one category, that they can join other parts of this awards too. Because if it's just one category, it's hard to be seen, because you can't do so much in there. But if you have a good actor, a good side role, etc., I think that's necessary that they need to be seen there as well.
I agree. I don't that they can't be nominated for Best Actor or Best Actress category.
It depends
I
on
know,
the event where they have the award shows, I guess.
right.
I guess.
I guess I didn't pay attention with the Vertical Drama Love Awards, but I know for Verticon they could have been because I I did almost put Mark down for my Best Actor award for Verticon. But I think the thing that holds them back is I think they need more publicity as far as like people saying, "Hey, no, take a look at this." It's, he may not
I'm
be
here.
from America,
I'm
Yeah,
trying.
exactly what you're doing. And that's why it's
Oops.
important. What you're doing is important and and valuable and that's why, I love what you're doing. It's just I think we need to. I try to echo your posts as much as possible, and like I said, I'm doing reviews on these films and bringing to light, doing what I can. I hope that other reviewers, other fans do the same thing, because, like I said before, these guys are just as, if not more, talented than some of the creatives that we have elsewhere, and they need
Hmm.
to be appreciated as such. And I think that's a bigger reason why they don't get Best Actor, Best Actress awards. I think they need more
Yeah.
love, and we need to give them more love because they deserve it. So,
Definitely, definitely, and I really love them all, and I'm so blessed that I was able to meet all of them and talking to a lot of them. And I had, for example, I was at first I was shocked, and secondly I was laughing hard because I got surprised in October for my birthday. Right in the middle of the night, they friends of mine and people out of my fandom, we've been in a voice chat on Discord. And they asked me to go on cam. And I said, okay, why? And then I got sent a video. There have been some ladies out of the community in there who congratulated me to my birthday, and a lot of actors and directors. So in total, in this video, been 39 people who congratulated
oh
me
my
to my
goodness,
birthday. And I know Carmen, who organized it, she got in touch with Amo Pictures with the CEO and ask him to do a video. Unfortunately, he didn't have the time, but he forwarded this wish to his team. So they recorded a lot of these actors. So you can see it. No, I didn't have pinned this message, but it's more below in my feed. Everywhere where you see Amo Pictures in it, it was shot by Amo Pictures. And while we talked about BDSM, it's so funny. Bogdan Ruban have a Twitch channel where he's playing games and still communicating with his community. And I don't know how it's happened once. I guess there been one of the ladies in the chat who had internet problems. So she always got kicked out of the room and came back. And after a while, I said, "Hey, sit still, girl, or should I tie you up to your chair that you don't get extra flights here?" And Bogdan was playing and just retie. Should I tie you up? And oh, Bianca is our BDSM expert. I said, what? I didn't even say something. So that's our running gag. So in this birthday video, he said something like, increase more your BDSM skills so we can talk about it in my stream, you know? And I said, what?
that's too funny. That's
Yeah,
too funny.
yeah. But anyway, we girls talking for a while now.
Yeah.
And I don't know, do you have maybe something to say to the audience or to the Ukrainian actors, actresses, and creatives?
Oh, the Ukrainian team, crew, creatives, you guys are vastly underappreciated, except when it comes to me, because I love you guys wholeheartedly. Keep killing it in the vertical world. I am absolutely loving what you guys are coming out with, especially recently. And I think the future is only going to get brighter for you guys. And you do have a whole team, Bianca, myself, and other people that just absolutely love you and want you to shoot beyond the stars. And I'm so excited to see what the year holds for Ukrainian vertical film industry. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I guess last year they published around 50 new stories, or seven, between 50 and 70. And this year
Mhm.
they want to do 150.
That's amazing. That would be wonderful.
So we
That's
will see.
awesome.
Maybe not just all shot in Ukraine, because Amo Pictures is shooting now in the world as well. So we will see what's going on there. But anyway, guys, if you want to see great reviews, not just from Ukrainian verticals, but also from all the other verticals which are out there, follow Caitlyn at Verticait. You will find her link in the description of this YouTube video. So, Caitlin, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank
And
you
I
so much for
guess
having me.
you're welcome. And I guess we could go on talking. Already talked to, I don't know, was it Dahlia? Was it Aline? I said your review girls should come all together to a conversation here so we can talk about everything. But we will see what's going on.
Yeah,
Because
that would definitely be fun. In the meantime, catch us on our monthly recaps too. So
yeah,
with Michaela. So
yeah, and for sure, people, if you want to hear about a great recap of the month, go to the podcast of Michaela. Let's talk about verticals. And these ladies, yeah, they talking about everything, what they like, what they didn't like, and I love
it's
this.
usually a no holds conversation. We speak our minds and our opinions, and all's raw. So we don't hold anything back. So unfiltered.
And that's what I love. But anyway, Caitlin, we keep in touch. And if you have any reviews or something, don't forget to tag me so I can share it as well.
Yep, the
And
faking one is going to be coming your way after we wrap.
ooh, I'm gladly sharing that. And if you have any questions regarding the crew and cast, just reach out.
Perfect.
And I talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.